Good morning, ma'am. So since we didn't have the opportunity to present our report in front of you and in front of our classmates during the our time, so what we're going to do is that we will just going to report it and give it to you virtually. So our lesson that we're going to present to you now is about the Lesson 3, Indigenization and Contextualization of the Curriculum. I am Abdul Hakim Hussein.
I am Christine Diego.
And I am Joe Marie Curtis.
So, to begin with, the first lesson that we're going to present again is about Lesson 3, Indigenization and Contextualization of the Curriculum. So first of all, let me give you a brief brief explanation about what is indigenization all about. So, ma'am, indigenization is the act of making something more native according to our brainstorming, transformation of some service, idea, and etc. So, to suit the local culture, especially through the use of more indigenous people in public administration, employment, and other fields. So that is indigenization all about. So first is indigenization again. It refers to the process of enhancing the curriculum, as what I've said earlier. And competencies as well, and education, resources, and teaching learning processes in relation to the biographical, historical, and social-cultural context of the learner's community. So again, the indigenization all about, it is about the curriculum of the historical, social-cultural, and context of the learner's community. So next. So what does it mean? What does indigenization means and what does it tackles all about? So it simply means that it means all that implied in the familiar term indigenization, and yet it is to seek to press beyond. And contextualization, it is with the indigenization itself. So, contextualization has to do with how we assess the particularity of third world context, as I mentioned earlier. Indigenization tends to be used in the sense of responding to the gospel in terms of traditional culture. Continuation, to contextualize curriculum. For us, in order to contextualize a certain curriculum like ours, teachers, or us, future teachers, use authentic materials. So when we say authentic materials, ma'am, it is unique and on your own. Authentic materials, activities that you come up with yourself, activities, interests also, issues and needs from the learners. So all that I mentioned is for the learners themselves. Leads to develop classroom instruction.
What is the difference between contextualization and indigenization? Contextualization is the contextualizing is the act or process of putting information into context, making sense of information from the situation or location in which the information was found, while indigenization is the fact of making something more native, transformation of some service idea to suit local culture. So it means that contextualization is something kung asa gikan ng context, ay kung asa gikan ng information, dito po i-put ang context, whereas indigenization is the fact of making something more native, which is kung sa to, for example, sa to ang culture and tradition, kung mao na to ang we must enhance it. Whereas kay ang sa contextualization is kanang kung unsa imong na-learn sa isa ka information, then you put it into context. So the purpose of contextualization is to create conditions for more effective learning, expressed, for example, in higher grades and rates of retention in courses, and through progression to more advanced coursework. So, ang purpose daw sa contextualization is para effective pa ang learning sa isang kabata. Tapos, it is ginakuan siya, gina-practice siya sa katong mga higher grades para mas ma-enhance pa nila ang skills and knowledge through learning by the contextualization.
Why is contextualization important in education? Conceptualized teaching and learning, or CTL, engages students in active learning while assisting them to make meaning out of the information they are obtaining. Many people learn better and faster and retain information longer when they taught concepts in context. So I believe that conceptualization is important to education because it helps the students to obtain a lot of information. And many students learn better and faster when they taught in concepts in context. What is mean by curriculum indigenization? Indigenization, a multi-stage institutional initiative that supports societal reconciliation. So what is societal reconciliation? So indigenous is a whole or samahan para makabuo na a lot of ideas. And societal reconciliation is restoration of friendly relations. An intentional, cultural, sensitive, and appropriate approach to adding indigenous ideas, concepts, and practices into curricula when and where it is appropriate. So, kung magsama-sama sila, makabuo sila o lot of ideas para kuhaan pa ang ilang indigenous community.
So, me, together with Jo Marie and Christine Diego, has already report to you, ma'am, or present to you what is indigenization all about. So, hence, after the indigenization, of course, we were going to discuss to you about what is contextualization all about. So, in the given description from the provided module, contextualization means only one thing. Flexibility of the K-12 curriculum allows for curriculum enhancement in relation to the diverse background of learners, enhance basic education Act of 2013, which is the Republic Act 1053-3. So that is the section 5 of that said article. The Department of Education shall adhere to the following standards and principles in developing the enhanced basic education curriculum. So, flexible enough. So the contextualization daw, ma'am, is flexible enough to enable and allow the schools to localize, indigenize, and enhance the same based on their respective educational and social context. So, the production and development of locally produced teaching materials shall be encouraged, and approval of these materials shall devolve to the regional and division education units. So, moreover, from what we brainstormed together with my group mates, in addition to that, ma'am, contextualization of basic skill is defined here as an instructional approach that creates explicit connections between the teaching of reading, writing, or math, and math on the one hand and instruction in a discipline area on the other as well daw, ma'am. Ano siya? As for example, when writing skills are taught with direct reference to the topics. So next, example of localization and indigenization curriculum. So it is said here that competency identifies star patterns that can be seen at particular times of year. So yeah, localization is the use of community's name from the word itself, locals. Use the community's name to prominent stars if they have while retaining the use of the Greek constellations. Constellations and its background in discussing the star patterns. So, indigenization in connection with the contextualization discuss the community's own calendar. So, in the localization, community's name, where in indigenization discuss the community's own calendar. Calendar of star patterns and its background refers background before discussing the Greek constellations. So that is the localization and indigenization in contextualization. So much for that, ma'am. Me, together with Jo Marie and Christine, we have already present and discussed and give brief descriptions of what the lesson 3, which is the indigenization and contextualization. So please come here, my group mates. So we have already discussed to you, ma'am, both kami talo, what the lesson 3 all about. So hence, in connection with that, ma'am, we are going to further discuss to you the following lesson, which is the lesson 4, the alternative learning system, or the ALS, okay? So, let us begin with.
So what is ALS? ALS is Alternative Learning System. It is a parallel learning system in the Philippines that provides a practical option to the existing formal instruction. When one does not have or cannot access formal education in schools, ALS is an alternative or substitution. So, di ba, for example, naaman dyan tayo nagtunang edad, tapos kay nag-stop man sila o pag-eskwela, ang ilang option para ma-advance sila sa isa ka, ay mag-advance sila gear nga nagsakto silang edad is mag-ALS sila. So pag mag-ALS na sila is ma-achieve na to nila ang katong year na karapat dapat sa ilahang edad. So, mostly, daghan jud ang ga-ALS, lalo na katong mga batanon, lalo na katong mga adults nga gusto pa magpadayon ng eskwela and gusto pa makamit ang ilahang mga professions pohon. So, dili na sila maglisod nga magbalik pa o mga lower grade, mga eskwela pa, kay pwede naman sila mag-ALS, pwede na sila pa-enroll sa ALS kay mo na to kay para to achieve their goals.
So ma'am, na-discuss naman dyan ni Christine, ma'am, kung unsa dyan daw ang alternative learning system all about. So balikon lang na ako, no? Ang ALS daw siya is, kaning program siya sa government to allow those people who have or kaning na-late na sila sa pag-eskwela, which is gusto gyapon sila mo eskwela. So, unsa man jud daw ang alternative learning system all about? So, let us all dig deeper of what is the broad definition and kung unsa jud all about ang alternative learning system. So, ma'am, it is said here that the Department of Education implements non-formal education. So, since pag-eskwela man dyan ang alternative learning system, naapoy part ng Department of Education sa himo aning program which is ang ALS. So, ang ALS di ay siya ma'am is i-add lang nako, it is a non-formal education. Non-formal siya because in such a way, kay wala man dyan siya ni undergo kani process to process nga pag-eskwela. So, bale, i-take lang mo siya para kani makapas ka sa kaning supposedly nga asa na jud ka nga year level karon kung mo eskwela ka sa ALS. So the ALS is defined by UNESCO. Gi-define daw ang kaning program sa UNESCO as education that institutionalized, international, and planned by an education provider. So giplan siya dili lang sa mga kuano kundi sa international and education that sa plan by education provider. So, the defining characteristic of non-formal education is that it is an addition, alternative, and or a complement to formal education within the process of the lifelong learning. So, mano to siya akong gina-explain kanina balik-balik nga ang ALS is dili siya pareha sa Department of Education, di siya pareha sa kini Department of Education which is ang DepEd is formal education while alternative learning system it is a non-formal type of education. But then again, it is kaning dako kay siya tabang especially to those people na gusto gyapon mag-continue silang pag-eskwela despite the odds and the difficulties nga na face nila, complement to lifelong learning of individuals. So, monitor siya kung in-explain. It is often provided to guarantee the right to access to education for all non-formal education programs, contributing to adult and youth literacy education for out-of-school children. So, sabot naman siya dyan nga, para dyan siya sa mga people dyan nga naulay na sa pag-eskwela na gusto magpadayon. As well as programs on life skills, work skills, and social culture development. So, naka-indicate sa kaning program sa ALS ang pwede nimo nga eskwelahan nga mga skills. For example, work skills, ginatulog mo na sa ALS.
What is the curriculum of ALS? The ALS curriculum reflects a set of knowledge, skills, and competencies that learners should develop to meet the minimum requirements of the basic education. It is comparable to the formal school curriculum. The teaching and learning processes and resources are based on the ALS curriculum. So, the K-12 curriculum for basic education of the formal school system, but it is not the mirror image of the formal school curriculum. It is aligned but not identical. Thank you.
So ma'am, in continuation ma'am, di ba ang kaning sa formal education sa atua sa Department of Education or sa CHED, basta sa kaning formal education, we have the mission, di ba? Sa formal education, naabot ay mission. So as well as the alternative learning system program education. Naabot sila ilahang mission. So saan na siya mission? That mission is to equip all students, equip all our students with basic knowledge and skills that will be prepared in academic, social, and emotional way, which will help to succeed in the global community. So, parehara po siya sa formal education. Ang ilang tumong is ma-equip ang students, ang mga ALS na students, na makakapon sila mga basic knowledge and mga skills, mga pwede nilang ma-learn na skills that will prepare them in the academic, social, and emotional way. So there are several different types of alternative learning schools, which including the following: local alternatives to public schools, like for example, ma'am, ang kanang charter and magnetic schools about them little schools, di ba ma'am? And school for students with special needs. That is very important because we are very inclusive kind of institution. Ang mga gusto mo eskwela ng mga person with special needs, pwede kayo eskwela sa ALS because schools for students with special needs, independent private schools with an emotional bias. So, nagano sila ilang kaugalingon nga eskwelahan. So, like ako gi-mention kanina, unsa man sila mga klase ng eskwelahan para sa mga ALS. So, a charter school is a school that receives government funding. Government funding but operates independently. So, ang ilang fund is gikan sa government yapon, di ba? Kaya lisod po na sabi siya kuwaon. But, in addition to that, they work independently. Nagtrabaho sila sa ilang kaugalingon of the public school system in which it is located. In some cases, it is private property. Such institutions are an example of privatization of state's assets. So, ang isa kay most magnetic schools focus on a particular discipline or field of study, while others can have a more general focus. So, their programs can focus on academics such as the mathematics, science, technology, humanities, and social sciences, executive arts, or on technical, vocational, agricultural education. So that is the most magnetic school focuses.
So, parental concerns. Choosing an alternative school is often difficult. Parents who believe that standard schools do not adequately work with the educational needs of the child should consider different options. So, here are the main reasons for this. So, ang mga parents nga nagtuo nga ang standard schools is dili enough para mag-guide sa mga special child, not literally special. For example, nga ka ng mga disabled person, but a child who has a special skills and needs. So, here are the main reasons for this. The child is extraordinary, gifted. So, katong gingon ako, bagura katong mga child nga naay mga extraordinary nga mga skills. So, has a special talent or interest, for example, music or science, which cannot be fully developed in a standard school. So, for example, ang child is national talent sa music, and ang standard school is they cannot fully assess the child. So, parents is pwede niya mapagitaan na school which para ma-enhance to ang skill sa student. Next is, it does not receive enough attention in regular school. So, we all know naman na mga child na needs, special needs is kailangan nila na tagaan o kanang attention. Kailangan nila na tugunan kung unsay ilang mga pangangailangan. So, dapat is the teacher nga dapat ang mag-guide sila is katong which is a special teacher nga mag-cater sa ilang mga needs. Then, he cannot study for health reasons. So, sa health reasons po is kanang students is dili niya kaya or pwede makipaghalubilo sa mga standard schools kay tungod basin tukar niya ang sakit or something maapektuhan. Then, the child's behavior became self-destructive. So, for example, ang mga problems. So, dapat lang a child who has a special needs is ma-enroll sa school nga ma-control ang ilang emotional and mental problems, which is nga dili ma-trigger to ang ilang because kay ang special child, kay ang special students is dilamat kasi di sila trigger kung ang ilang emotions kay sensitive kasi na sila. So dapat nga ang teacher nga mag-guide sila is aware.
So now these are the disadvantages of alternative schools. First, we have expensive training. We all know that it's very expensive kung mag-train dyan ta sa ALS. Dahil, are you agree with that?
Yes, I am agree so much for that.
Next, second is classes can be less intense than standard school. So, dili ka siya intense other schools. So, yeah. Are you agree? So next, the third is there is an opinion that classes are not so strict and graduates are not competitive when entering universities. So, ang mga students daw kay buan, according to him. And nevertheless, some schools are focused on ensuring that the graduate can continue studying without problems after graduation. So, I believe that a certain school they are focused on ensuring that the graduate when they graduate, there are no problems after graduation. And next is the qualification of teachers in alternative schools are not always clear. So, ang mga qualification daw sa mga teachers in alternative schools are always not clear. So, dili kayo sila effective. That is advantage money. So now next, schools that are less than 5 years old may be more experimental than effective. This is how now fashionable, which means that there are many who want to cash in on this. So ang mga institutions daw nga less than 5 years, dili kayo effective ilahang pag-teach sa mga students sa house. Kaya dili pa man sila daghang years. Can you agree? And lastly, not every school is accredited in the relevant state bodies. So that's all the disadvantage. Now let's proceed to the advantages of the alternative learning system. Are you guys with that? Smaller class size. These allow teachers to pay more attention to each student. So, ang mga gagmay daw nga class or classroom pa rin siya dahil ma-focus dyan sa teacher. Ma-focus dyan sa teacher ang mga students para pay more attention to the students. And more flexible schedules and requirements. The children and adolescents can choose subjects as well as the time of visit. So, di ba, daghan kayo siya opportunity and dili siya maka-stress kaya ko nakayuan ka ng they can choose the subject. The founders of the school are really interested in the students. So, ang mga founders daw sa school, interested kayo sila sa mga students nga makakuyab. So, yeah.
So, here is also the advantages of alternative education. So, there are two reasons. First is they receive a large salary. So, ang katong mga gatudlong house is tagpudyo silang sweldo kay tungod nga mas kuan man sila, mas in demand man sila kay daghan karon ang wala na padayon nila ilang pag-eskwela and then nag-enroll sa ALS kay para ma-achieve nila ang ilahang karapat-dapat na year. So, second is many founders really prefer with the idea of teaching children. They see this as their mission. So daghan daw ang mga founders sa ALS, like ang mga teachers sa ALS is na dyan nila, mission dyan nila ang magtulong, mission dyan nila ang mapabangan ang mga individuals na gusto mahumanap nila ang pag-eskwela. And dili pa ulahi ang tanan. Dili pa ulahi nga dili pa ulahi lang mga pangarap.
So ma'am, since wala man dyan may naka-report kining face-to-face sa inyong atubangan o sa atubangan sa mga classmates because of the lack of time, so yeah, ang among na-discuss karon, which is ang two topic, the lesson 3 and the lesson 4. And then, so much for that ma'am. Jane, so much for that ma'am. Yeah, so that's all tanan naka-indicate sa lesson 3 and sa lesson 4 ma'am, and sana nasabtan ninyo ma'am. Thank you so much ma'am, and buligan kita tanan sa dito.
1, 2, 3, go.
Kapun ka!